hello. My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Okay, so we have a spoiler-free yay or nay review today of the book Iron and Magic by Ilona Andrews. Now, my yay and nay reviews are always meant to be kind of short, to the point. Bottom line, do I think you should read this or do I think you shouldn't? I mean, like, was there ever really a lot of doubt about this? No, but, you know, that's sort of the spirit from which I approach this particular type of review is like, do I think this is worth your time? So, a couple of clarifications here. Iron and Magic is the beginning of a trilogy that is a spin-off of an existing series that by the time it's over will have had 10 books in it. So, well, 11 if you count the Andrea and Raphael book, but anyway. 10 books in the Kate-Daniels series, and then Iron and Magic is 9.5 in that 10-book series, but also is beginning a trilogy for Hugh Dombray and Alara, don't remember her last name, doesn't really matter a whole lot, the White Lady, basically. So, this is a spin-off series. So the first question that I kind of had for this book was, does this have enough there for this trilogy to stand on its own? Like, do we really need 3 whole books? Could this have been sort of like the Andrea, I never know how to say her name, Andrea and Raphael book and just be like a one-off kind of thing? I'm very happy to report to you that I think that this is a absolutely excellent beginning of a spin-off series because, yes, we see some characters from the existing Kate-Daniels verse, and I think that we will see more of them as the trilogy goes on, reading between the lines of some of the things I've seen on message boards and whatnot, and what happens in this book. So yes, we definitely still have some of the cool, like the central characters from Kate-Daniels' big series, but we're getting a bunch of new characters who are interesting. We're seeing a new part of the world that Ilona Andrews has created. And I think that we're having like new questions raised and sort of like new character dynamics introduced because Kate-Daniels is a monster, but she's very not morally ambiguous for the most part. She has moments, but in general, like, she's awesome. There's not a lot of like hand-wringing about like her being intrinsically bad. I think, you know, she has doubts about like the good or badness of her own magic or kind of like her family, but she herself like makes very morally positive choices. Hugh starts off as like one of the worst villains in Kate-Daniels. He's a bad guy. He's done bad things, and now he is the hero of the spin-off series. So right off the bat, I think you have, like, this is something Ilona Andrews does a lot, and something that I really appreciate about their writing, which is that they very much like to have, like, ambiguous characters, and I think that they're very resistant to the idea that someone is, like, beyond saving, or, like, beyond having some level of, like, redemption arc, or at least some level of, like, ambiguity. I think that they really like having kind of nuanced, fully fleshed out characters, which is indicative of great writing, right? So I like that that they're going there with Hugh. They essentially, this started off as sort of like a April Fool's joke, I believe, or like just a joke that they had of like, oh, the next book will be about Hugh. And the fandom was like, give it to us. We love this idea. So it's cool to see how they took that and really, like, I think thoughtfully engaged with what would Hugh be like coming out of having been in the presence of Roland for so long? What would that have done to him? And like, how would he move forward from that? So I really like that we get a lot of sort of like, at a character level, a lot of interesting things set up in this book. I also love Alara, and she is like the other main character. She's now his, if you don't know the setup for this book, basically, Hugh is in danger because Roland and Roland's number one lanky, Landon Ney, are kind of trying to track him and his whole cadre down. So the Iron Dogs, they're systematically trying to wipe them out. They are desperate, they need food, they need provisioning, and they find this like coven, like this sort of outcast group of witches who need protection from Landon as well. So, and they have like this castle and like all this food and provisions and whatever, so like they're gonna combine forces to seal the deal on that. Hugh has to marry the leader of this new group, I think they're called the Departed, the White Lady, who is Alara, and they both essentially are monsters in some way, and neither of them ever thought they would get married, neither of them ever has had any expectation of like being in love or whatever, and I don't think that they're there by the end of this first book, but I think they definitely have like progressed a level, and there is a level of like protectiveness of each other, and kind of, I think, a place of like, could we actually make this work for real? So like that's really interesting. And Alara is such a great kind of foil to a lot of what Hugh's going through, because I think Hugh is a monster because of a lot of his actions, and Alara, we don't have a lot of details about exactly who or what she is, but like I think her magic is essentially intrinsically kind of monstrous. So it's cool to see that interplay. Alara is like such a strong leader of her people. Her people are super devoted to her because like they know she is like ride or die for them. She makes really hard choices to protect them. I mean, she gets married to this man who's basically known as a butcher to try to protect them. And I think she is really interesting. I'm very intrigued to see where her character goes and what exactly the deal with her magic is. Again, from sort of like whisperings on online forums, I gather that she has an important role to play in the 10th Kate Daniels book, so I'm interested to see how some of that might be working out. And I also she's badass in this book. Like, she stands up to some people who I think that we all were under the impression only certain people in the Kate Daniels world were able to stand up to. So yeah, I think she's definitely a super interesting character. I'm so intrigued to see where all of that goes. And yeah, I loved getting to know like the whole little community that she has. I liked getting to know the Iron Dogs better, and to like see kind of a flip side of groups that are portrayed as very villainous. So anyway, I'm just sort of rambling at this point. Basically, the biggest question I had going into this was, did this series merit its own spinoff, like more than one book? I think the answer is definitely yes. I'm really excited to see where it goes. All of the action in these 3 books is going to have taken place before Magic Triumphs, which is the last Kate Daniels book. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to read Magic Triumphs and kind of see where the two of them have ended up by the time that book rolls around. But I'm really excited for the side world. I believe we're getting the 2nd book next year, so I'm super hyped for that. And yeah, I just think in general, like, this is also exciting to me because I think it's proving that there are other places in the same world that they created for Kate Daniels that Ilona Andrews could take various characters, because they have so many interesting characters in their world. There's a lot of room for like new adventures and new characters to follow, new places in the world to go, and new types of magic for them to explore. So all that to say, I'm pretty much gushing because I really enjoyed this book. I give it a big yay. If you've been kind of like, but I really miss Kate Daniels, I think that this will give you a lot of hope if you've not read this yet, that like life will go on and life in this world will continue to be really interesting and worth reading about. So I give this a big yay. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 on Goodreads, which is one of the highest rated books I have in the Kate Daniels verse. So if that tells you anything, I think that this is a super exciting book that makes me so hyped for the final Kate Daniels book, and so hyped to see where this series goes. So those are my thoughts on Iron and Magic. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below. And I think that will do it. Hope you're having a really great day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!